Hey, this is Scott from PRSSetups.com, place where you get two different builder setup packs for 20 bucks a month. Awesome deal in sim racing. So we are at Chicagoland. We're going to take a lap. I am not the absolute best road course racer. I turned on the line to kind of give you an idea of kind of how the line works with the throttle brake points. So you can see when you turn the line on, if you go test, like what you need to do. Unfortunately, when you're in the A Open race, you can't turn the cheater line on. You have to kind of go off of, breaking points and stuff that you learned in testing. So let's take a lap. Alright, so we're going to go over a little bit of the lap. I'm not the best, again, at the road racing, but I'll give you some pain points that I was experiencing during the lap. So, number one, brake point. You can see the arrows here. It's right before this brake is on your line right here. You can brake at these points, but you will go in pretty deep and it will kind of get a little sideways on you, so you may overdrive it. So I'd run into this a little more conservative. Right here on exit, just be careful. There's a little bump here that might send you sideways, so just be really nice to the throttle. I go to first gear on a lot of these corners. There's some teammates that really like second, so you can control the wheel spin, but it's up to you if you want to do first or second. This one was bad for me as well. There's a bump here, and then there's a bump just outside of turn 2, so be super careful here. This will send you around real easy too. Back up just a little bit. So right through here, you can use a lot of brake, and then you kind of let it off while you go into the corner. So you're kind of coasting through here, just like the line says. And you saw there was a big bump, which could shoot you out to the outside wall. And then you're using just a little bit of brake. This says almost like full brake, but you're just using just a little bit to get the car to turn just a little bit more through here. And there is a bump out here as well, so be super careful. This will send you sideways as well. Alright, this one is super critical that you brake earlier. If you brake too deep, there is a giant bump here that will make the car stop slowing down, and you need that extra 10 or 15 feet before that so that you can safely get in. On this lap, I actually drove in just a tiny bit too deep, and I was sliding just a little bit, but I would highly recommend that you brake a little early, kind of where it starts darkening up. If you go all the way to 4, you're in too deep, and it's just going to spin out. It's going to be very hard to control. Right here, you're essentially getting to the rev limiter to 2 to brake in just over the hill. Now this is a spot that iRacing has wrong because you don't actually need a brake through here. You just need to let off and kind of get through that. You might need a tiny bit of brake, but essentially you just have to kind of follow the line through here. Now the next set of corners and straight, this is going to be the absolute bumpiest part of the track. There's another spot that iRacing got the brake wrong. You just have to use a tiny bit through here, not major like it's kind of saying. But if you drive through here and you get really close to the wall here, there's going to be a huge bump. So you almost are kind of going around that just a little bit so that when you get into the McDonald's area, you're not completely out of control. So definitely a little more conservative through here just to make sure that the bumps don't upset the car to the point where you're slamming the wall. And even notice I didn't even brake. I'm not even braking. And it's very bouncy. You can see kind of just reversing it like and going forward at a 2x. Like you can just see just how much bumps. There's just bump. Over that hill, it'll get a little bit of wheel spin, so make sure you're aware of that. You may be conservative shifting into second. And then down through here. This one you can dive in pretty deep, but just be aware on the exit. That's another kind of spot you can get a little loose on, but it's not too bad. And that's a lap at Chicago Road, not Chicagoland. So we didn't see a lot of fall off on tires, but you will probably end up having to make a pit stop for fuel. So it's just a splash and go. It will only be like 2 or 3 laps. If you're really good at saving fuel, then you might be able to make it the whole way. We think the tires will make it without too much of a problem, as long as you're nice to the throttle and nice to the tires. So that's it. That's all I got for this week. Good luck, everybody.